You're listening to 101 with Tommie Zam. On the 34th episode, we sit down with Tim Rose and D Did That, talking about music and life. Let's do this. Hey, what's up, D and Tim? How you doing, dude?
I'm great, Tommy. How you doing, man?
Good. So both of you guys are in California, or?
Yeah, we're both in LA right now.
Okay, cool. All right. And let's just tell, that we got Tim Rose on and we got DD on here. We're all gonna sit down and talk to you guys. And so Tim, and we'll start with Tim. Tell us a little background about you.
Well, first of all, glad to be here. T, thanks for having us. I know we've been trying to put this together for a long time, and I'm grateful that it's coming together. We D and I have pretty different stories, actually. It's amazing. I am from Washington State, and I lived in Hawaii for about 15 years, and that's where D and I met. And then I moved here 3 years ago. I moved to LA 3 years ago. So, yeah, it's been a journey. I've been all over the world. I lived in China. I lived in Europe during that 15 years I was in Hawaii. But now I'm in the big city. I'm in LA, and so it feels great to have a home base. Not be traveling all over all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And Hawaii, I mean, how was that, dude?
It was great. Actually, it's funny. I don't know if you follow a kid skateboarder named Cypress Blanco.
Yeah, I know that dude.
About that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I figured you would. I wanted to ask that right off the rip because he's in one of my music videos. I have a music video on YouTube called Please Please, and he's like the central character of it. He was like 11 when he starred in it. He's got to be 13, 14 now. Kid rips. The kid just rips.
Yeah, he does.
But I wanted to give a shout out to him because it is a skateboard magazine, and he's an up and coming shredder, and so I wanted to just give a quick shout out to Cypress and his mom for having him in one of my music videos. And yeah, Hawaii's a beautiful place. There's a lot of skaters out there, and yeah, like a lot of surfing. I was more on the surfing side.
Oh,
I quit skating when I was a kid.
Oh man.
I started doing handrails and breaking stuff, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. And I was like, I can't play guitar with my wrist like this. Like I gotta choose. And so, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, yes. I mean, skateboarding. Definitely if you're jumping downstairs and handrails and you play guitar, I mean, you got to figure out which one you're going to do the best. Like, all right, am I going to be a pro skater or am I going to be a musician? So, I mean, you definitely took the right road to go down.
Yeah, it hurts less physically.
Yeah,
that's cool. And you did that. Tell us a little about you.
Yeah. So D did that. So
okay.
I my bad. I know it's the word is kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm a military brat. I was born in Alaska, and I kind of moved around like every 3 years growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there, Georgia. I was in the high desert, California, and then I went to college in Hawaii, and so I was there from like 2014 to 2018. And then I moved out here to LA in 2018. So I've been here ever since. Yeah.
So how'd you guys meet up? I mean, did y'all were you like in college and he was like in college or something, or you saw him at a show or what?
I'm old enough to be D's uncle at this point. I don't know. I feel like an old man. So
what you only what 25, 30? What?
yeah, sure, let's call it that.
Yeah. He's made his whole thing.
Yeah, so we ain't gonna blow up my spot like that, but I will say this. D, I'm interested to hear how you remember us meeting, because I have like this story in my head, but you know, us artists, we just like, that may not be what actually happened. Do you remember how we met?
I do. So we both had a mutual friend named Sterling in Hawaii, and I went out with my friend Sterling one night to this lounge in Hawaii called The Study. So I was there, and then I see Tim, like he was just there. And at the time, Tim had like long blonde surfer hair, and I was like, "Who's this dude?" Like at the table, like with us. You know, I didn't know who Tim was at the time, and so we start talking, and it was like right around the time that Prince had passed, and like Tim just like starts telling me like all this stuff about Prince and how he's so bummed and like how he's just like super into his music. So we just kind of sparked conversation from there, and then he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "I also make music too." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like he makes music. Like, all right, everyone makes music. But I thought it was just gonna be like, you know, some Beach Boys style, like whatever. So I saw the long surfer here. I was like, all right, you know. So I was like, send me your stuff. First I was like, oh, where's your music? I was like, on SoundCloud or Bandcamp. He was like, no, it's on like Apple Music, like Spotify. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, it's pretty legit. So then I go home and I check out his stuff, and I'm like, man, he's really good. So then from there, we just kind of start working on different things. Like we get in the studio, and you know, we just kind of started building that friendship and that working relationship from there. So yeah, it just started from meeting through a mutual friend down in Hawaii.
Hell yeah. And is that how you remember it, Tim?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I wanted to, you know, I have from my skateboarding years, I have partaken in some things that affect your memory long term. So I
a little too much shrooms, right?
Yeah, I don't want to confirm or deny anything, but let's just say my memory sometimes is unreliable. But I will say that's exactly how I remember it. But I don't remember us talking about Prince. I remember us talking about Dilla. And
well, Dylan was, yeah, we did talk about. Oh, that's right, because you put me onto the beat tapes.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it was Dylan.
And Jeremy Chang was playing.
Yep.
Jeremy Chang was the musician performing, and that's why I went. And I barely knew Sterling. I just knew of him as a guy who liked to rap, and like being, you know, super conscious or whatever. But like, yeah, I met you, and I didn't know anything about you other than you wanted to make beats. I'm like, oh, you want to make beats? Let's just get straight to talking about Dilla. You know, like, I was like, let's just get straight to it, because he's a goat. As long as it's not D talking and he's talking about Pharrell, but you know, it
is. Yeah, man.
That's right, dude. That's right. How y'all met, and like D. So you're the producer for everything, correct? So like, how'd you get into being a producer?
I started when I was in high school. Like when I was in high school, a lot of like that was like when SoundCloud was really starting to become popular. Mm-hmm. So a lot of like, you know, rappers and people who made music at my high school had started like downloading SoundCloud and just putting their stuff on there. So I kind of followed in that same vein and just really kind of got into the SoundCloud scene. And I bought myself like a cheap like Yamaha keyboard, and I would like, you know, make 2-track beats on my keyboard and then like record them on my GarageBand microphones. So like I had like Windows Movie Maker and like my like Rock Band, like my, you know, like when Rock Band Guitar Hero were popping.
No
or like
way.
A microphone from there. I would like put it on the speaker of my keyboard, and like that's how I would like start making beats. So
yo, it's that Instagram meme about you know, guys be in the studio like, and it's a bunch of
yes.
Bro, when I tell you my setup was so raggedy, but I'm so glad that I started out kind of like that, because it kind of sparked me wanting to get more and like get better equipment, you know. So, but yeah, I was definitely that me. That was me 100%.
Is that why you went to college for, to learn more about music and stuff, or was it something different?
No, so I went to school for sociology, but I did take some engineering classes when I was there, and that kind of like me taking those classes and being in the studio environment did kind of spark more of that interest to want to pursue it more outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely played a role.
That's sick. And then did you have like, did you look up to like Dr. Dre or any other big time producers that influence you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always been the Neptunes and Pharrell. Like that was like, those guys and what they did were like the main reason that I even wanted to make beats, because like they always made like their chords they use and the beats they use always made me feel so good, and I was like, man, like I want to make people feel like just as cool as I feel like when I listen to Front End or like when I listen to these huge Neptunes tracks. So yeah, it was always
Neptune's dope. Neptune's dope, man. I like Pharrell's good. I mean, Pharrell's good stuff, but I mean, his stuff kind of got a little. I mean, I don't want to say wacky, but kind of different. You know what I mean?
That's
I mean,
what
I
he
think
loves
that's
about it.
About the innovators, like they're always reinventing themselves, and they're always, you can never pin them down. They're always trying new things. So I think that's why I respect them the most.
And T, I don't want to check you, but as the musicians on the podcast, we got to check you, man. Pharrell, we're not talking about the Disney stuff that he's doing now. Okay?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, we're not talking about Happy with Daft Punk, all right? We're talking about Pharrell in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Timbaland and Missy Elliott in Virginia. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking. That's what I was trying to say. Is like his stuff was good back in the day, but now it's kind of.
You're gonna mess around and have D drop off this call. His service is getting real bad.
Got some unexpected connection issues here in a second.
His service is getting real bad. I don't know. D, are you there? D, don't leave. Give the name.
But I mean, I think the one that for producing wise, I think the one who still keeps it real, who's never changed, is Dr. Dre. Man, his beats are always good. No matter if he hasn't dropped an album in like ages, but then when he does drop an album, it's like, wow, he still has it.
I don't agree with you, but I will say that you're right. The last album, the Compton album, the reason that I thought that was so good is because he introduced Pac to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when the Compton came out, I listened to it straight through because all I'll say is I'm old enough to call myself a 90s baby. I remember when the Compton album came out and I listened to it straight through, and I'm like, who is this guy with 5 features on a Dre album that I've never heard of?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this guy's voice is incredible. This guy's flow is incredible. Who is this man? And that was my introduction to Anderson .Paak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will say that is a genius. I'm not going to deny that, but he's definitely not my flavor of ice cream. I've always been a Timbaland guy. And we're talking about 3 giants.
Yeah.
It's like pick your giant, like pick your giant. But yeah, Dre, man, I listened to a lot of Dre when I was 11. Yeah. I got in trouble for it too. I had to hide. I'm not even kidding. I had to hide my Dre and West Side Connection CDs in a barn at my friend's place.
A barn?
A barn.
An actual barn.
An actual barn.
Was it horses and cows?
That's a real struggle right there.
There wasn't any. I can't believe I remember the story. I remember listening to a West Side Connection CD, which is not Dre. That's after Ice Cube broke off from Dre. But I remember listening to a West Side Connection CD in the barn and being like, we got to keep this here so our parents don't find it, Put it under the bale of hay. We'll come back later,
That's funny, dude. I think our first time. My first introduction to Wu-Tang was my buddy down the road. He was like, yo, you gotta check it. It was before Wu-Tang even got big. And he was like, yo, check out this album, man. It was actually this cassette tape. He's like, check out this cassette tape. I was like, all right. He was like, dude, this is the new music right here. And we were just jamming. I was like, well, okay. And then like I think like 2 years later, Wu-Tang just blew up, you know? So that's how I remember it. I used to bump that stuff in my parents' house. They didn't really care, but it was like, no cussing. Don't play that cussing music. And I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, as long as ODB's rapping, you don't know what he's saying anyway. So he could be cussing. You just can't understand.
No, you never know what he says. Never know, man. But Tim,
how was my ODB impression? Was that good or what?
No, it's pretty good, man. There you go.
All that vibrato. That was real.
Was that good or what? I've been practicing.
I thought that was ODB there for a quick second. You know?
ODT.
Yeah, that fits. Okay.
So to you, Tim. So I mean, what got you into music? I mean, you know, other than skateboarding and surfing and traveling and stuff like that, what influenced you into music?
It's funny, man. I don't consider myself a skater anymore, which is tragic. I switched to surfing when I moved to Hawaii, and but when I was younger, I'd always loved music, and my mom and my sister sang and stuff. We definitely had musical talent in the family, but I was kind of a wild kid. If you get my meaning. Mm-hmm. And they tried to give me lessons and stuff. I couldn't sit still. I was off doing other things, illegal things, hanging out with the wrong kids. But those kids skated, and I think aside from like a genuine love for hip hop that just came organically from listening to the radio while my parents were at work, I'd come home from school and I'd listen to the radio, and my first exposure to rap was, the Wu-Tang, Mos Def, Busta Rhymes, mm-hmm. a lot of the stuff that Pharrell produced, Tribe Called Quest, like the classic catalog of the 90s. And then also, but when I started skating, it switched, and it switched real hard, real quick. I started hanging out with these kids, and all they were doing was basically listening to like Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and a lot of the like heavier classic rock stuff. So it was like Zeppelin, The Who, and all of that stuff. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Van Halen, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like your typical long-haired skating suburban white boy listening to, Panama, like just like skating down the street. And then that's what made me want to pick up the guitar. Mm-hmm. was listening to Zeppelin and watching like Zeppelin DVDs.
That's right.
And but it's funny because hip hop came first, but I just, I got distracted by these crazy rock stars doing all of this crazy stuff, and I idolized them for a long time. I'd say for like a long time in a kid's lifetime. It was like 2 years. I was just obsessed with them. And then so I learned the guitar very quick, just trying to copy those guys and their riffs, because a lot of them are so good at guitar that I wanted to be like them. And that's kind of how my journey with music started.
That's right. I mean that's right. Definitely to have that influence you. You know what I mean? Like Zeppelin and David, Iron Maiden, stuff like that. I mean, it's just to influence you to be, pick up a guitar, play it, and just totally kill it. I mean, that's a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I want to say before I pass it back to D is that I think that's the reason that D and I get along so well, it really doesn't matter what kind of music it is. If it's good and it hits you in the soul, like we're in agreement on that, you know, and we definitely have our favorites. You know, we have our starting top 5 for the Lakers or whatever. But you know, it's you know, if it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been why I think why D and I mesh so well.
That's awesome. And then
That D is just an incredibly easy person to get along with, you know. Whereas I, you know, not everybody gets along with me. So
so D's like yin and you're yang, right?
yeah,
we can say that.
D is like you know, you were mentioning the Wu-Tang earlier.
Mm-hmm.
D gives me this jizza energy where like
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
he's like the genius, you know, and he's calm and collected and very intelligent. And I'm not. You know? So
but you know, and I don't want to take away from the questions, but what T does bring is he brings that unexpected energy that I feel like kind of takes the tracks up. Because me, I can kind of play it safe sometimes, and I can stay within the realms of what I know. But one thing that Tim always does that I think always complements the tracks is taking it in a direction I would have never thought of. Like he's like, oh, let's add a descending scale on da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, all right, let's try it. And it's something I never would have thought of. But you know, I think it's important to have those people that you work with that can take you out of your comfort zone and try something different, you know? So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. That's right. That you guys can like, because of music, skateboarding, surfing, any of that stuff. A team, if you ride for a team or you guys play together, you got to have that like relationship. You know what I mean? If you don't have that relationship, and then sometimes it doesn't work out.
Right.
That's right. That you guys have that, and then back to you, Tim. One more thing. So you opened up for Alan Stone. What was that like?
oh, that was I would say man, that must have been like 5 years ago. So yeah, the story behind that was this. I was living in Hawaii. There's the main concert promoter out there is BAMP, and you know, for clubs and stuff. So big shout out to BAMP, and they run a venue called the Republic. And D will, you know, agree with me that was like, if you wanted to see a cool show, if a cool artist was coming to town, and not, you know, not all of the touring artists come to Hawaii because it's sort of an inconvenient stop. You know, you can tour the whole U.S., but like touring to Hawaii doesn't really make a lot of financial sense for a lot of these artists. They don't always come.
Mm-hmm.
And so BAMP was really good at somehow managing to get these cool, like hip artists to Hawaii. And sorry if there's a little noise. I'm in my van.
No worries, dude.
So I'm just gonna keep it moving. So Prince died like in 2016, like or 2015, like D said, and I was like the only guy in town that like wanted to play strictly funk.
Mm-hmm.
And the BAMP guys knew that, and so they invited for me to do a Prince tribute, which was such an honor. I got to do like a big band, full on dress up, wear the makeup, wear the purple fluffy coat, the whole nine yards. Like, yeah. So we did like this Prince tribute, and then that went really well. And so when Alan Stone was coming to town, he has sort of a funk and soul band, and they needed a funk and soul act to open for that man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a real honor. I'd known about Alan for years. We're actually both born in Washington. So I had been hip to him for a while, and some of his band members are from the same town as me. Shout out to Tyler Carroll, who Tyler Carroll now plays bass for the Jonas Brothers, but he was playing bass for Alan Stone at the time. And we linked up, and it was a good time. You know, sold out show. It was the first time I had played in a club that big that was sold out. There's like 1,500 people in there, and just crazy energy.
Were you nervous, or were you like get stage fright or anything, or what?
You know, I wasn't nervous about the audience because, you know, you play enough shows that like the audience is either going to like you or they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my favorite artist of all time, Prince, he got booed off stage opening for the Rolling Stones. You know, sometimes the opening act doesn't make sense, you know, and I couldn't control whether or not people were going to like my set or like my voice or like the way that I looked or whatever. They came to see Alan. And I respected that. But so I wasn't nervous about the audience. I was nervous about their band because they were all watching our set, you know, like Alan and those guys were watching our set. And that's what made me nervous. I'm like, okay, these guys can really play. They're touring nationwide. I'm wondering what they think. You know, it's like that musicians like loving competition. You know, it's like, am I gonna bring the energy up so that these guys can really crush the show, or am I gonna be like this awkward moment before the main act comes on where people are like, whew, thank God that's over. You know, like now I can get what I paid for. And it turned out great. Like I'm still friends with a lot of the members of the band. The guitar player and I ended up playing some shows together of our own. Tyler Carroll plays bass on my records that I produce all the time.
Oh, sick.
And and I got to see Alan a couple times backstage here in LA.
Yeah.
And it was, it's just, I'm a huge fan of Alan, and it worked out well.
And what did they think of you when first time they seen you? Were they like stoked on you, or like, yo, they fucking rocked? I mean,
well, we definitely brought the energy up. Like I knew what I feel like I understood the assignment. You know, we played funk and soul classics. We played really high energy Prince tunes, and we played Rick James, and we played, you
played Rick James. What? Sick.
Yeah, and I think that surprised them. You know how well we pulled it off. I don't know. You'll have to ask them. But we were. I was. I'll be honest. I was still at that point pretty green. I had not done 1,000 stage shows like those guys, and we didn't get to rehearse on the road for months like they did. You know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what they thought. Maybe they were like, "Oh, this is cute," you know. But
they're like, "Oh, that's cute. Oh, give him a pat on the back."
yeah. I don't know if we were like the young kids, like, "Oh, look at them trying their best," or like,
"Here, you want some candy?"
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to read their minds or speak for them, but they still talk to me now, so they must not have hated it. You know,
no, you must have left a good impression on them, dude. If they're still talking to you, that's fucking awesome, man. That's a lot of respect. And D, were you part of that or no?
No, I wasn't a part of that. That all happened, I think, before T and I actually met.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then when was you two's first time performing together live? What I mean, do y'all remember how it all started and stuff?
Well, Tim and I have never actually performed together live.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, all the work we've done has been in the studio.
Okay.
So yeah, but I remember our first session though. Our first session was pretty tight. Like I think Tim's dad had like owned had like a office in one of the buildings in Waikiki. So like we went there and I had my laptop and my machine controller at the time, and Tim had brought his microphone, and like we'd just been there, and you know he's cooked up a song, in this office building. Like it was totally like some type of corporate office building, but we had the space, and so we were just like cooking up and recording ideas like in this corporate office.
I gotta jump in just to be clear, so people don't think that I'm rich. He didn't own anything.
Oh my God.
We rented that.
Tim, you're a baller, man.
Yeah. We rented that conference room by the hour. Okay. That was not, we got to put our sign on the door during the hour. And when the hour was up, we took the sign off. And if it was somebody else's conference room, we rented it. But
my God.
Yeah. People were like, yo, Tim's dad owns a building in Waikiki. What's going on? No.
Damn, Tim's bougie over here, man.
No, okay, sir. So Tim's dad didn't own it. I guess we rented it.
Yo, because if he owned it, we would have 3 albums out by now. I'll tell you that right now.
100%.
Yeah.
That's funny, dude. That's funny. But I mean, so that's when y'all first time produced together. And do you remember the track that y'all produced?
Yeah, it was it was like a track called Fear or something like that, and it was like the acronym like false evidence appearing real. Now I remember because like I had made the beat like the night before our session, and then we got there and Tim was like, man, like, what should we write about? What should we talk about? And I was like, man, me and my girl have been going through blah, 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 like, fear. She's afraid of blah, blah, blah. He's like, we should name the song Fear and like use the acronym false evidence of appearing real. So like, I did the beat and we came up with the lyrics and it was tight. And Tim totally came on with like this super dope, like almost like Nate Dogg West Coast style kind of flow, like on the hook, which was really sick. So yeah, but no, that was our first tune. It was that.
Dude, that's rad, dude. And have you produced for other people too, or just only Tim you mostly produce with?
Yeah, so I've produced for local artists here in LA mainly. Okay. So yeah, like other R&B artists and singers and some rappers out here in Los Angeles.
And do you feel like it's hard to be a producer in LA and then in Hawaii, or do you feel it's a lot easier in Hawaii?
Well, I didn't really take it as seriously as I did until I moved to LA. I think being a producer in LA is more difficult just because of the distractions. Like, in Hawaii, there's definitely things to do, but nothing in comparison, I feel like, to LA. Like LA is there's just so much going on and so much to get into. So staying focused in LA is probably what makes it harder to me, because I feel like, you can make connections wherever you are. You can blow up wherever you are because of the internet, but it really just comes down to who's got the most focus and consistency. And since LA is such a, busy place, I think it can be tough to stay consistent and stay zoned in.
Yeah, definitely. And do you feel like, it's harder for you to build your name, or do you think it's easier to build your name as a producer? So, I mean, you got to go out there and like give out business cards and get people to produce with you, or do you feel it's like you got enough people who's putting your name out there more?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really blessed to been able to meet people that also recommend me to other people. And so I think in that sense, it's been pretty easy. Like, people that I've worked with kind of refer me or go that route, but also like Instagram, like through like, I used to make these beat videos all the time on Instagram and put them out, and like just that and building up notoriety that way definitely helps me to get my name out there. So that definitely helps make it easier for sure.
That's awesome. And do you feel like social media is a big help for you, like TikTok and all that stuff? Or do you feel like, putting your beats on SoundCloud help you more?
Definitely social media. I mean, because what I found for me, like, people love to see artists doing stuff, like people are, I think, obsessed with the producer process and seeing producers take something from just an idea into a full on beat. So for me, that's helped immensely, because I was putting stuff on SoundCloud for a while, and I was doing that whole grind like throughout high school and even like through some parts of college. But it wasn't until like when the pandemic hit and I started like putting out my beat videos on Instagram that I started getting any type of, you know, even if it was small, any type of notoriety, because I started getting reached out to by, you know, a bunch of different rappers in the city and singers in the city, and I was scheduling a bunch of sessions. So to answer your question, like, yeah, like social media has really changed the game for me and opened up a lot of doors for me to, you know, get my music out there.
So you don't have like Wu-Tang knocking on your door yet, right?
Not yet. You know, the day I get the day I get the Wu-Tang cosign will be a great day. But not yet, man. We still working. We still working.
That's good. Hey, I mean, but you're doing good stuff. I mean, I listen to some of your, you know, you guys' tracks, you know, Flow State, stuff like that. I mean, it's definitely you got some good beats, and you and Tim really work good together, and that's fucking awesome, you know, because like I said before, you don't really, you know, with music and skateboarding and surfing, all that stuff, you got to have like good connections together, communication and stuff like that. But it seems like you guys have something good together.
Yeah. No, I'm very thankful to have a collaborator like Tim, you know, and yeah, we've been blessed.
Definitely. That's sick. And then do you feel like how hard is it to like think of music to produce? I mean, do you have to like listen to like different types of records and stuff like that, or what?
That's a great question. For me, yeah, it definitely comes from listening to other records. Like that's usually if I'm feeling like tapped for inspiration, like I'll just go back and listen to a bunch of like old Neptune's records or Stevie records. Because for me, it starts with the chord progression. So like if I hear a chord progression that sparks something in me, then I'm automatically inspired to like go in and try to like replicate that. And then that's when a beat will come out of that, like me trying to imitate a feeling or replicate a feeling. So yeah, definitely inspiration comes from listening to other people, but also watching other producers produce. Like I love like going on Twitch and watching like producers produce and stuff like that. So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, I love doing that.
And then how do you get most of your music? I mean, do you get like, I mean, I know you just said it, but like, do you just get it from like, go to record stores and buy a bunch of records, or do you like listen to it on like YouTube or what?
Yeah, YouTube, Apple Music for sure. Yeah, I DJ a lot too, so I'll go on like the DJ record pools and stuff and listen to remixes and stuff like that. So yeah, those are the biggest ways that I get it.
And another question, how do you feel about like some, you know, because there's a lot of like producers and some producers out there that use other people's beats, you know, other music, you know, like Sam Sample, like say if they use like a, you know, producer B produces A's beat that he produced a long time ago, and they just copy it and just beat over it. I mean, do you feel that's like a right thing to do, or what?
So like taking like someone else's beat and just like claiming it as their own, essentially.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, you know, that's definitely not cool. You know, but what I do think is dope and what I do endorse is like taking loops from people. Not taking them, but like if someone like puts out a loop of their beat or something like that and like lets people use it, I'm totally a advocate for that. Because I feel like, you know, the creative process should be collaborative. And if somebody has an idea or a loop and puts it out for purchase or whatever on Splice, like I totally agree with that. But yeah, if you're just like trying to take someone's stuff and, you know, not give them credit for it, then that's pretty lame. But if someone's obviously putting their loop out there or some type of sound pack out there for you to use, I totally advocate for that.
Yeah, because I mean, I hear some music and I'm just like, whoa, dude, why are they stealing that dude's beat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
No,
then they rap over it like it's their own beat, and I was like, yo, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. Nah, yeah. I mean, you know, that's the difference between like being inspired and then just totally like biting somebody, you know? Like
there's a big... D and I, he shall remain nameless, but D and I knew a guy like that worked with rappers in Hawaii that would take SoundCloud beats, edit out. They would edit out the producer tag, the like watermark. It's like that says on the track who did the track, and they would just record raps over it and release those songs. And Do you remember that, D?
Oh, come on, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember being like, oh, okay. So, right.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep, we're on the same page. Yep. Yeah, so it's super lame and we don't stand for it. Super whack.
Well, I mean, that's just to me, that's just whack to do, man. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's cool if somebody like puts it out there and lets you that where you can use it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just to go and take it from somebody and make it like your own, that's just wrong to do. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you shouldn't even be in the game. You know?
Yeah, you gotta find your inspiration on your own, and yeah, gotta do it the right way. It all comes back around too. I feel like when things like that happen, it comes back around.
Oh yeah,
so,
they'll get called out.
100%.
So you and Tim dropped a lot of EPs. What's you like? D, we'll go to you. What is your favorite EP that you guys dropped?
My favorite single is, man, it's got to be our first one for the most part. That one to me is so cool because it was my first time really releasing music on a bigger stage. Like I released my first beat tape, in 2020, but for the most part, it was like my first time releasing something with a press push and with all of the attention and energy put behind it. So that one for me was really special. And just seeing the process like from start to finish. Cause I sent the beat to Tim like months ago and we've been working on it for a while. And to see it go from where it was to hearing it on Spotify and stuff was really dope for me. And it just, I don't know, I feel like that sound that we were going for with that was really cool. Felt really good. So that's my favorite one.
And you, Tim?
I hate to be the shameless promoter, but it's the one that dropped today, baby.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it, man.
So the song that we're dropping today is called "Filling Up," and for the people out there that don't know us, or maybe if you've made it this far in the interview, we appreciate you for hearing us out. Go and check out some of our songs because D and I had this crazy idea when the pandemic hit that we were going to make a beat tape album because we just felt like it would really hone our skills. Like we would be sharpening our knives, sharpening our toolkit a little bit. And we wanted to regularly put out songs. And so we put out a song every month for this is the 6th month. And I feel like we're just getting better. We have I just wrote it in my journal this morning. Like we have a better workflow. We have a better understanding of each other. We work more efficiently. And I feel like we can crank out a song in a few days, even with our busy LA schedules. And Filling Up's got this crazy energy that is sort of south of the border in a way, and yet not. And I don't know. It's just like the thing about Filling Up that I love so much is that I can't. When I listen to it now, I listened to it last night when it went live on Spotify, and I'm like, I can't pin this down. Is this a Latin track? Is this a hip hop track? What is this? And the fact that even like all the music that I've listened to in my life, it's very easy for me to be like, oh, okay, yeah, like Dre is sampling the Isley Brothers here. Or, oh, this person obviously listens to a lot of D'Angelo or whatever. But when I listen to Filling Up, I don't know where it's, what I mean? I can't pin it down. And that makes me happy because it tells me that D and I are creating our own sound. And I think that's the strongest evidence, like that we're doing our own thing. And that, not to be the shameless promoter, but the song that we dropped this morning, Filling Up, on all platforms is probably my favorite one so far.
Hell yeah, dude. And tell us a little about Fill Up. How'd you come up with that name for the title?
Yeah, D, if you're good, I'll just keep going.
No,
D knows I can talk. Actually,
go for it, man.
T, you didn't even need to show up this morning. I could have run this whole podcast. I could talk and talk. I could ask myself the questions. It would have been. I can talk and talk and talk. Nah, filling up. Okay, so the concept is, for those that don't know us, I live in my van on the streets in LA, and I've lived in my van for 6 years. And I turned it into a little studio, a little mobile recording studio. And that is where the majority of D&I's tracks are either worked on or completed before they're sent to mix. And we thought it would be cool to have a concept album of beats where the premise was D&I would be going on a road trip and in the van and making beats. So if you look at all the artwork, the van is actually in all of the artwork and of all of our singles that we've done together. And so when the album is completed, I don't know, I guess I'll leak the name. We came up with the idea of making the Long Way beat tape, where we would be on a road trip in the van making beats, making songs, and all of the songs have to do with our state of mind on a road trip. You get a lot of thinking done, a lot of soul searching done on a road trip, and you can, prioritize different things in your mind while you're sitting on the road for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And so, the first song that that D is talking about is, for the most part, and it's a phone call that I got from my friend who was struggling, and then D and I sort of like reconciling this person's struggle through music. And then, fast forward, we did a lot of songs. I suggest everybody listens to them. And the filling up one is like, sometimes you need to stop for gas, mm-hmm. Not just physically in a car, you need to fill up with gas, but also creatively, sometimes you need to stop and fill your tank.
Yeah.
I think we lost him.
No, I'm right here. Sorry, my sister's calling
me. Damn, he went ghost.
No, my sister called me. I just put on Do Not Disturb. That's my bad.
No, it's all good, brother.
But sometimes, essentially, sometimes you need to creatively fill your tank, and take a moment of rest, mm-hmm. and get your juice. Yeah. Have a nice meal, take a rest. And I feel like Filling Up is a song that's about, this is our 6th song for this project in a row, and we've been going hard this year. And this song, we just wanted to reflect that moment of like, okay, we need to stop and get some gas and get some Takis or something, because we've been going. And yeah. Would you agree with that assessment, D?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, and that's true what you said. I mean, sometimes in life we just got to stop, and what we're doing is just kind of fill ourselves up and just kind of collect whatever, food, water, time to think and sit down. I mean, that's definitely so true about that,
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything. So, I mean, and so I notice a lot of musicians now are doing more singles and putting more singles out on Spotify than dropping albums. Do you feel it's better to do singles than drop albums, because that way people can have a better playlist? Or what's your opinions?
Well, I think it just depends on your goal. If your goal is to definitely get the most streams and stuff like that, then yeah, single route is the best, because playlisting is like the new radio essentially. So in that regard, yeah, I definitely think that releasing singles at a time is a lot more. It makes a lot more sense for artists these days.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not going to put a whole album on and have like 50,000 albums on there. You have to skip through each song.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's where I think it just comes down to your goal. Like if that's your goal, getting most streams and playlisting is your goal, then yes. But I think if you're still value kind of like telling a story and wanting to build like a fan base of people that follow your journey and can see the complete body of work, I think that's where albums are still super important.
Yeah, because I mean, people still want to hear the whole album, and like, oh, I can't wait till Tim and D drop a new album. Let's listen to this,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's that's why I love some of my favorite artists, like Kanye and Pharrell, like those guys. Like they can release singles, but when Donda drops, I'm excited to see kind of where their mind is at, like what idea they're putting together. So absolutely.
No, definitely. And have you guys ever thought about, since what Tim said that you guys do a lot of studio work in the van and travel around, have you guys ever thought of like dropping like a YouTube videos of you guys just touring around doing your music and stuff like that?
Yeah,
That's
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think LA is a hustle, man. LA is a hustle. There's a lot of things that we want to do. We've been toying around with doing live performance videos of these songs for YouTube, where where D will do the beat live and I'll play the guitar live. And yeah, I make YouTube videos all the time of all sorts of things on my channel, which is, my YouTube channel is Tim Rose Music. All of our music's on there. All of the music that I produce for other artists is on there. And social media content is king. And I think that reinforces the last question about singles versus albums. It's like people just need that Reese's Pieces of content to kind of get a taste for who you are. And so, yeah, absolutely. We want to make a million YouTube videos. It's just LA as a hustle, and creating that space and creating that time to get it done is the most difficult part. Doing the videos is not difficult. Writing the songs, producing the songs is not difficult. It's what we're built for. It's our craft. The hard part is, just like, we it took us a while to schedule this interview because we're out here hustling and trying to find the time to get it all in. And so, yeah, and that's why we're so grateful to be on this podcast and so grateful to have met you, because as independent artists with no label support, every song is mixed and mastered out of our own pockets, and we cherish. It makes it easier and easier to do the things that you're talking about. Like, of course we want to make that YouTube content. Of course. We haven't yet, but the story's still being written.
Yeah. And back to what you said a few minutes ago, you guys being independent musicians or being independent and not having a big label company behind you guys backing you guys up, do you feel it's difficult or hard to get those big corporate companies to back you up, or do you feel a lot better to what you guys are doing now?
I don't want to speak for D. D knows that I'm very opinionated on this. So I don't want to speak for D. I think we're our own people in this respect. So I'll let him answer this question too. But for me, the music industry is different, and it's the gatekeepers of having labels and bigger managers and bigger touring booking agents and all of that stuff used to be absolutely necessary, and now it's just not. And so I can't control the future. If Universal Music Group came around and was like, yo, we love what you and D do. We're gonna like back you guys to continue to do it. I'd be like, great, let me see the contract,
Yeah.
because the contracts are intrinsically mean and not artist friendly. And
Hmm.
so I'm not um, in a rush. Uh, I can't say whether it's harder or not because we've never been offered a deal. But I bet you if we did get offered a deal today with our current fan base, it would be a pretty ugly contract. That's just me speculating. You
Yeah.
know, that's my honest, raw opinion. And I don't think that, again, I don't want to speak for D and I don't want to kill any opportunity that's going to come my way just
Hmm.
because I think I know what's best. The future is unknown. But I will say that whatever happens in the future, I think D and I are going to act in the best interest of our long term goals, and that may not be a label. Uh, you know, that may not. We may not need that. There's a lot of artists out there that just don't need it,
Yeah. I mean,
and
there's my boy Kosher Deals. I mean, he does his own stuff, and you probably seen him on. I mean, I don't know if you follow him or what, but if you do, he has his own Instagram, Kosher Deals, and he performs on streets corners, but he still goes to like festivals and stuff. But he does his own stuff. He produces his own albums. He doesn't have a big, corporation pop promoting him. He's doing everything on his own. And
yeah, I'll close my long winded answer with this. I'm open to any opportunity, but whatever that opportunity is, I I would like for I would like this for myself and I would like this for D for us to have complete creative control. You know,
Yeah.
I
smart.
don't want somebody else telling us what works
Yeah.
because we've been releasing songs all year and we get feedback from our fans and we know what our sound is. So if somebody came in and wanted to change the artwork or change the title of the song or change the sound or hey, that song did really well, can you do another song like that? That stops our evolution,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be closing off any opportunities. If hey, if you're from Atlantic and you're an A&R and you're listening to this, you can still call me. You know, um,
Don't get it twisted.
don't get it twisted. But at the same time, I don't want to diminish the abundance in the universe by signing something that's going to put us in a box
Yeah.
creatively. And I don't know. D, how do you
Yeah,
feel?
absolutely. No, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, so much can be done on your own, and like T and I have been doing, and like he's been saying, like there's so much that can be done just from the artist standpoint before they even need a label. Like, yeah, the label definitely helps and can provide obviously some big doors, but like T was saying, if you don't have like that strong fan base first, it definitely you know the contract isn't always the most favorable. So definitely I agree we'd be open to any opportunity, but I think it's important as an independent artist to do as much as you can to build yourself. So that way, because a label can't take a fan base away.
No.
So,
No.
yeah,
And
it's
and
important.
and, and I hear a lot of people, and I deal with talk to a lot of musicians, and deal with a lot of musicians, and there's a lot that love being independent and love being on their own and don't want to deal with a label, but they like doing their own stuff. And there's ones that love to do it and love having a label and this and that. So I hear a lot of mixtures of difference. Some people say, if you go to a label, they just totally change your image and change your music and just take the fun out of it. So it's one of those things.
I have a
Mm.
story. I have a story, a short one. I knew a artist in Seattle, one that I grew up with. This man was so talented, and he was independent, and he made an album independently out of his own pocket. He spent tens of thousands of dollars. The album was good. Major labels started sniffing him around. They started putting him in writers' rooms, and 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 it and it ended up crushing him because they just kept telling him to sound like Bruno Mars.
Hmm.
Because this was like the late 2000s. and Bruno Mars had like 6 #1 singles from that first album.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like they kept trying to push him, and that wasn't him. It was never going to work. And the tone deafness of that, it's like, yo, it's like, does this guy look like Bruno Mars? Does this guy sound like Bruno Mars? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just trying to sell records. And like, everybody that makes music full time knows that your sound is your own. Mm-hmm. You're a unique individual with something important to say. And that's for everybody listening. If you're a musician, you have something valuable to add that's new. And even if you did try to sound like Bruno Mars, you would end up still sounding like you.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate because that man doesn't make music anymore. And I'll never forget him. We played a show together at the Triple Door in Seattle, which is a nice club. And he was giving me a ride back to my hotel, and he was telling me this story, and it just like the energy on him, I'll never forget it. And I was like, man, I don't want that. You know, it's like, that doesn't sound like a good time to me.
Yeah.
So like, being an independent artist is a hustle and a struggle. And it's a, you know, we don't have Vivo making sure that our YouTube videos get millions of views, but at the same time, we get to be ourselves, and that's something to be grateful for.
Yeah, and you know, and being yourself and perform, and, you know, just, you know, not just with music, with skateboarding, surfing, well, all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's, you know, like, you get caught up in that corporate America, or some company telling you got to look like this, or dress like this, or sound like this. It kills what you grew up loving. You know, and then you got to kind of step back and be like, yo, man, I need to change my life. I need to redo my thing. I need to go back to me. But being independent, there's nothing wrong being independent. I think that's the best thing to do with anything, music, you know, like I said, skateboarding, surfing, whatever, artists, whatever. Being independent is the best, you know, because you have control of what you want and what you want to sound like. But I mean, it's good. Hey, don't get me wrong. It's good if some big corporate pays you money. That's good because that helps you out. But at the same time, I mean, it's just, being independent is like, to me, is the best thing ever, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. Well, you know, thanks. You know, so you guys just dropped a new little single, Filling It Up. Oh, sorry, Filling In. Sorry. Filling up. Sorry, filling up. Sorry, I had to drink some water real quick, so it was coming in. But y'all just dropped a little single called Filling Up. That's on all Spotify, Apple Music, all the music platforms. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, sick, dude. And you guys are hyped about this and super stoked?
Absolutely. Excited to have this as our last single for the year and hit the next year running with our album. So we're excited.
Hell yeah. And other than having an album dropping, what else do you guys have planned for any concerts or you know, local tours or anything like that?
Yeah, well, for me right now, I've been focusing a lot on DJing. So I've been producing for a while, but I've been building my brand and stuff as a DJ. So just doing a lot of shows here in LA and just building up my presence that way. That's one of my goals for the rest of this year, going into next year.
Hell yeah. And you, Tim?
Yeah, touring is hard, and touring during COVID is even harder. I have no plans. I have no plans to tour right now, and I think that my personal ultimate goal, and I hope D is a collaborator with me for the rest of my life, because D is such a light in my life. But I just want to make as much music as possible. I want a gigantic catalog. And I just do. I have so much artistically that I want to say. And so, you know, I've had 2 songs drop this month. So I want to just, and I don't want it to all sound the same either. I feel like genres are dead. I don't have to be in one lane if I don't want to be. So I want to make as much music that speaks to me as I can. And that's sort of my goal for this coming year, and to what you said earlier, some more YouTube content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Because the streams are cool and stuff, but it's really difficult to get fans from a stream.
Yeah,
it's just on a playlist. They don't know who you are, and on YouTube they get to see your face and get to know you a little better. Or same with Instagram. It's like they get like my uncle used to say, like, come over here and let me have a look at you.
I remember that saying. That's a true saying.
And so I feel like fans or potential fans, they want to have a look at you, and to see what you're about. Like, yeah, the music's cool, but like they want to see themselves and their identity reflected in what you're doing, and those are the kinds of fans that we want. So it's definitely some more content.
Hell yeah. And then no shows. You not no shows booked up or anything, or local shows are playing, or?
That's how I support myself. I play shows all the time. I'm actually down in San Diego a lot. I play shows every week.
Okay.
I have a residency in Los Angeles, in West LA, at an Irish bar called Old Fella.
Okay.
And big shout out to Old Fella, because they
Yes.
D knows.
Yeah.
They literally let me do whatever I want.
Is that good? Is that good or bad?
It's great.
I don't know. You'll have to ask the bar. It's good for me.
When I head back to California, man, I have to stop up and check you guys out, man.
It's a cool bar. They make good drinks, and it'll be a night where sometimes I'll play 10 Frank Ocean songs in a row because I'm just in that mood, or I'll be playing our stuff, D&I stuff, over the speakers, or I'll be like, tonight is strictly old soul, and I'll go through the Bill Withers, Stevie Wonder, Al Green catalogs. And some nights I'm flipping Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys. Like, you just know you don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, and they don't mind, which is really cool.
Tim shared that's the church one day.
Yeah.
Played some gospel chords, and the whole crowd was vibing with it.
Are you serious? You did?
Yeah, I really did. I started shouting and everything.
Had a whole praise break.
I got filled. I got the whole praise break. I got filled with the Holy Spirit. I love all music. What can I say?
Hey,
all music is good. I don't it's so if you're in Los Angeles, come down to the Old Fella on a Wednesday night and see what comes out of my mouth, because it could surprise you. It could surprise you.
That's rad.
Yeah,
that's rad. And well, before we take off, I'm gonna ask each one of you questions. D, for the next upcoming producer or some kid that wants to become a producer, what's a good something that you want to inspire them? What they need to know to become a producer?
I think just follow your intuition and follow what sounds good to you. Run your own race. Don't be too worried about what other people are doing or how other people sound. Like, I feel like I got caught up a lot in the beginning of who I sounded like or who my music was similar to. But I feel like if I would have just stuck with, like, your sound is this and trust that sound, that would have been dope. But yeah, so just stick to your guns and don't be so worried about what other people are doing, because you're dope. Like Tim was saying, you're different. You're an individual. Like, stick with that.
Oh yeah, that's so true, man. And you, Tim, what's a good for the next upcoming musician that wants to be the next big musician or just independent? What's a good thing you want to say to them?
Well, I think I'll speak for myself. Artists, I think they are desperate to communicate to the world. They have something they want to say to the world, right? And I think a lot of times, especially when you're first starting out, you have doubt, you're hyper aware of your own weaknesses. You're like, oh, I'm not good enough at this. My gear is not good enough for this or whatever, and it stunts the output of music. And I would just encourage people to not think twice, that the beauty is in the journey and not the destination. Put as much music out as you possibly can, and you will become the artist that you want to be. I'm a huge proponent of daily discipline.
Mhm.
Like, have a routine. My favorite producer of all time, Jay Dilla, had office hours. He would go into the basement in Detroit at 9 a.m. and he wouldn't come out until 5. He treated it like a job. Pharrell did that in the beginning. Timbaland and Missy did that in the beginning. They made 10 beats a day. The consistency and the discipline, I think, is the hardest part, because it's easy to be like, oh, I'll make that beat tomorrow, or oh, I'll learn about this plugin, or I'll learn about this software tomorrow. Like, learn about it today. We need to have discipline in order to get these songs out, because it's very easy to just let the dust pile up. So I would advocate just daily discipline. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right, dude. That's definitely so true. I mean, we definitely need this. People do need discipline and to get their, not just wait till the next day or 6 months later or whatever to get that whatever done. Just get it done. 100% agree on that and stuff. Well, I just want to say thank you guys for coming on and talking with me, and great stories and stuff like that. Super stoked on what you guys are doing. Love your music, definitely 100%. And the audience, man, go download and play their latest single, Filling Up, on all the platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever you listen to your music on. Download it, play it, jam it in your car, blare it up so the person next to you in the car can hear what you're playing and ask you who's playing.
Yes,
But
sir.
dude, you guys fucking rock, man, and one love to both of you guys. And I will see you guys pretty soon out there, and definitely want to get you guys on our show, TSM live show, to actually perform live in front of people and stuff like that. So definitely super hyped about that.
That'd be awesome, man. Yeah, let me know when you're in West Hollywood, man. Come see
definitely.
DJ, come see Tim perform, we'll make it happen. But thank you so much for having us on, man. Really, really appreciate it.
No problem. I gotta see Tim in his bar, man. I gotta see his hopefully the day I come in there, he plays some gospel music.
Oh yeah, get ready. Get ready.
Hey, so audience, this is TDD. We're out, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
All right, buddy.
Be blessed, man. Have a good one.
Later. You too.